This is the power of roots and the microbes associated with the roots. Daniel, Drew, and I recently assisted Jay and Jenny with their property near Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and our mission was to create a habitat and hunting improvement plan. The majority of their property was covered with volunteer pines, and so we spent a lot of time discussing pine management and how to restore that stand to a productive pine and primarily wildlife habitat area while increasing the hunting opportunities. If you'd like to learn more about those techniques, we'll put a link to that episode in the description. Today I want to share about how past actions, in this case specifically related to the logging operation, did significant damage to a portion of their property, and what I'm talking about is significant damage to the soil. Prior to Jay and Jenny purchasing the property, the landowner had clear cut about 80 of the 90 acres, and those 80 acres were planted pines. We started at the east end of the property, worked our way through the pines, down the valley, and up the other side to the west border. And when we got there, stepped out of pines, it's like we were stepping on the moon or somewhere in Arizona. This area had been a loading deck for the logging operation, and inappropriate actions had resulted in intensive, extreme erosion. Much of the soil in this area was absolutely bare. There were no plants and therefore no root structures to hold the soil in place or protect the soil from wind and rain erosion. Being left bare, paired with the previous compaction from the logging operation, all that heavy equipment, had totally destroyed the soil structure. It was just chemical particles, packed on top of each other. There were no pores, no earthworms moving through. Again, it was just like a sheet of rock. Almost like a recently disc field that had been rained on heavily. There were several rocks sticking up on a pedestal of dirt. Now, that rock had shielded that soil from getting hit by raindrops, almost like a roof, but everything around it where the rain had hit the soil had eroded away. Some of the gullies leading off from this area that was the logging deck were over 6 feet deep. 6 feet deep, 10, 12, 20 feet wide. Now think about this. The amount of dirt that's the thickness of a sheet of copy paper over an acre is a ton. There's about 200 sheets of paper per an inch, standard copy paper. 6 feet, 72 inches. 72 times 200, woo! Start adding that up and think about how many tons have been eroded from this site and deposited in some creek bottom, working their way eventually down into the Mississippi and into the Gulf of Mexico. Healthy soil, and we've shared this with you in the past, appears like rich, dark chocolate cake, moist cake. It's almost a little fluffy, there's pore spaces all in there, and those pore spaces are where earthworms and other critters have made pores through there, or roots have decomposed and left those open channels for new roots to follow down to find nutrients and water. And the darkness is from carbon. Carbon is black, and when plants are actively pulling carbon out of the air, and that's kind of exuding or coming out of the root system and going into the soil, and carbon is critical for all those microbes in the soil. So dark, loose, moist soil is ideal soil for plants to grow in. And all those components that create that were gone from this piece of property. Obviously the water just ran off this place and carried a lot of sediment with it, but when you have healthy soil and all those pores, water infiltrates in. And we've shared infiltration tests here, put a steel ring around and pour water in and see how many inches can infiltrate per hour. Healthy soil can take 6, 8, 10 inches per hour into it, so even a harsh thunderstorm, there's no runoff. It's infiltrating in, and that chocolate cake type soil is holding it like a sponge, and that gets you through the drought period. That's how it was created to work. When we till, we disrupt that system, and soil settles down, gets hard on top, and water runs off. Remember, it's not how much rain you get in an area, it's how much rain infiltrates into your soil or how much rain you keep. Big difference between 80 inches of rain in Georgia and most of it running off down the river, or 20 inches in parts of Iowa, but all of it seeping into the soil. This is why I always advocate for having something growing on your soil year round. You know, you can no-till in that standing crop and keep it covered, but when you've got active plants, their roots are holding the soil in place and they're pumping carbon in the air, every day it's warm enough for those plants to photosynthesize. That's how you build and maintain healthy soil. Disturbing the soil goes the other way and degrades the soil quality. Even on this property, we're standing at the moonscape, or right at the head of the Grand Canyon there, and a few feet away, there was some native vegetation, some weeds, some Sericea lespedeza had been growing, and just within a few feet, the soil was much different and there was no sign of erosion. This is just a wonderful example. So 2 feet over here, 3 feet over here, there's, you know, native grasses and some exotic grasses that come in from, you know, somebody's wind blowing seeds from someone's yard, but whatever, at least they're holding the dirt in place. This is the power of roots and the microbes associated with the roots. Look at the plant size, the plant density, how green the trees are. Look at the trees, how green they are. And then just step where you are.
Literally
7 feet. This is lime green. Can you tell that that's lime green? You may have to pull your sunglasses down, look at it. It's lime green.
You can tell.
And I'm looking at all kinds, because there's no nutrients there. And all kind of bare dirt, and we just walked just a little bit further from those tree roots are carrying nutrients over here, literally, not taking, carrying. And all of a sudden we're in massive erosion. It looks like a moonscape out here. And that's the power of living vegetation. You've got to have the soil covered with vegetation. This is an exact reason I never want people to disc. Because although you got something growing X months out of the year, then you disc it and you set it back to moonscape. You kill all the life. Over there, there's life. And if we had a spade, we'd dig down, we'd probably find some beetles or earthworms or something over there. I promise you there's nothing here. It's like the moonscape. We've shared these observations in the past from other properties that had a different management. Maybe it was ag instead of logging, and you know, extreme tillage had resulted in a concrete-like soil. And a few feet away where there were native grasses, man, the soil was rich and looked good, and there was even signs of insects in there. I remember one place in Kansas, I could barely get the spade down out in the field. I mean, I was jumping off my weight and couldn't hardly penetrate the soil. I kind of had to just bust it open, like chipping off pieces of concrete. And just an arm's length away where that native grass was, I could easily sink the spade. Just the other day, I read the results of some recent research that compared the soil quality and the products, be it livestock or grain coming from those soils, managed differently, and the big difference in results. I'll put a link to that research in the description, and I'll take time here to just share a brief summary of their results. Simplifying the methods and results of this research, they looked at adjoining farms, one using tillage applications and one using regenerative ag practices, of course based on principles of not disturbing soil, keeping something growing, a diversity of plants, all those things that really we know can improve the soil quality. But the researchers took it a step further. They compared the products from these different soils, be it grains or livestock, looked at the food value, nutritional quality of these products, and found that both plants and animals from the farms that practiced regenerative ag were much higher in nutrients, higher in vitamins, higher in minerals, and that results in healthier critters that consume them. That's me and you, or the livestock eating the grasses or grains produced, and then we consume that livestock and have much higher quality food. And research is really clear that when we eat a healthier diet of foods that are high in vitamins and minerals, we can avoid many of the diseases that basically were unknown to our ancestors. The quality of the food we consume has decreased over time due to the degradation of our soils. For me, the bottom line is really simple. We need to all take responsibility for how we manage the soil, and that may be manifest in how we manage livestock, crops, timber, or even food plots. And when we manage it appropriately, not only are those products more nutritious, but it results in cleaner water, cleaner air, and taking more carbon out of the air and putting it in the soil where it was meant to be. I'll take this one step further, and this is Grant, not the researchers. I believe all of us working together to improve soil health is the greatest conservation movement we can do. I believe everything we're working on in conversation right now is built on the foundation of improving soil quality.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
For many landowners, erosion is not only a problem where improper forestry techniques were used or tillage is used in food plots or agricultural fields, but roads can be a significant source of erosion. While touring Jay and Jenny's property, one of the roads had been eroded so badly it could no longer be used by vehicles, at least safely traversed by vehicles. And this was a great opportunity to discuss with them proper road design and how this road could be reshaped and maintained to prevent further erosion. A good interior road system is critical to maintain and enjoy almost every property. You know, just getting to a stand or getting to a food plot to plant it, or just taking your family out to enjoy the property. An interior road system significantly increases the value and enjoyment of any property. I'm not going to go in all the details on roads right now, but a good design means the water is getting off the road as quick as it can, not going down the road. When the water builds momentum going down the road, and it seems everyone drives the same two tracks, the water funnels those tracks, it's going to pick up speed, move soil particles, move gravel, and result in erosion. And big rains cause that erosion to move much faster. It causes big ditches to occur almost overnight. One of the designs we frequently use to make sure water isn't moving down the road, it's getting off the road, is a BBD, or a broad-based dip. The design is simple, but there's some technical aspects to it. And I'll share with you, we have dozens here at the Proving Grounds that have helped us and reduced our road maintenance costs for decades, literally. But I'll put a link in the description to some work done by Penn State Forestry, and you can check out their design specifications to create a broad-based dip. Daniel, Drew, and I really enjoyed touring Jay and Jenny's property and just visiting with them, really understanding their goals and objectives. We've created a really detailed habitat and hunting improvement plan, and we look forward to sharing updates from Jay and Jenny as they progress in this journey. Learning techniques to restore or maintain a habitat is a great way to learn about creation. But even more importantly, I hope you take time daily to be quiet and intentionally seek the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.